Hello everyone, you can call me Janine. For 6 years I have been in an abusive relationship. This channel is meant to tell people about that and to hopefully help other people by sharing my experiences. Abuse does not always happen overnight, it can sneak in. Some people don't even know that they are abused in the first place for various reasons. In this video I will be explaining my childhood, which was the foundation of things that happened in the future. It is long, and if it's too long, I do apologize. For now though, let's get started. I grew up with my older sister and 2 parents. The neighborhood was a good one, playground around the corner, various schools nearby. I had a handful of people I played with, but not many friends. My father has his own one-man business and was often home. My mother worked part-time back then. We had a large home, decent front and backyard for this country's standards. Both my sister and I could attend the sport and could always play a musical instrument, which we both did until school caught up with us. Music, though, never left me. After instruments became more difficult, I joined a local choir around age 14. We even had pets till I was around 16. Despite this sounds picturesque, there was a shadow side to this. My mother had a golden child. At first, it was me. Maybe because I was the youngest, I will never know. If my sister and I argued, the one with the biggest room was sent upstairs, which was always my sister. Even though it was clearly my fault. Eventually there was a shift when I was 9. Already at a young age, I was bullied and excluded. I had a big imagination and did not understand social cues at all. I wanted to be liked, have friends and fit in, but I was always kept at an arm's length by classmates. When I got glasses, the bullying got worse. I did not notice this until I was around 8 years old. I had to get glasses and that the bullying became more clear. I had a lot of headaches from stress due to this, but I kept trying. Despite it was always an optimist. The headaches though were so bad that I'd scream in the night from pain, which would wake up my parents. At home, it went like this. I was not allowed to make any noise in the mornings till my mother woke up from her free days. She slept or was in bed till like 10, 11 in the morning. My father always brought her breakfast in bed on those days, and on her work days he would get up early to make her breakfast and lunch that my mother could bring with her to work. In the night, if we had to go to the bathroom or something, she would be all cranky if it woke her up, being snarky. When disturbed during her work or studying, even if it was just asking if she wanted a cup of tea, she would yell, saying that because of me disturbing her, she was set back for a half hour. However, when she was not asked, she would comment about that too. She would scold me when eating sweets or too much sweets or drinking sugary drinks. My shoes were too small because she was always complaining about my feet growing too much. My normal clothes though were always very neat because it was important how one represented themselves. My first suicidal thoughts emerged at age 11, but I was always optimistic and forgiving. I did not fit in anywhere and I was told, if you ignore them, they will stop. No idea who came up with that, but no, they didn't stop. It even got worse. Therapy started at age 11 as well, after an after-school incident that left me found crying by one of my direct neighbors somewhere alone. I did not want my parents to see me that way. At that time, I was ashamed to even be alive. Remind you that because nobody ever told me I mattered, my self-esteem was low. I even thought that I deserved to be treated the way I did. But I never understood why. When my sister went to secondary education, my sister became the golden child. Here with schools, we have levels. My sister was on the second highest when it came to those levels. When it was my time, 3 years later, I ended up at pretty much the lowest. I never hated my sister for the shift. I understood that she was superior over me. I did try to be like her, if only to be seen by my mother. For me, secondary education There the bullying continued. One of my primary school bullies went to the same school as me, and it took her only 2 days. It was a small school, but most people joined her, including different classes. Academics were important to my mother, and throughout most of my life I heard the words, "You need to have a well-paying, full-time job if you want to be happy." It was something I was striving towards because who doesn't want to be happy, right? Still, there was always some kind of disdain coming from my mother when I started my secondary education, like I wasn't good enough. She did never outright say it, but it felt as if she was ashamed to have me as a daughter. I tried my hardest to please her, but to no avail. Good grades would always be because of her good parenting, and when we had bad grades, we did not try hard enough. With arguments at home, mother would cry and, yell if we didn't side with her, playing the victim. She always had to be right and have the final say. It was her way or no way. I wanted my parents to be proud of me, so I tried really hard. Even till this day, though, I do not think that she was ever proud of me. When it came to bringing friends home, or rather people to play with, she would always make snide remarks about them after they had left, if she did not approve of them. Some would have a too high-pitched voice, or be too quiet. Trivial things. My father did nothing to correct her, though, and rarely sided with her either. I do not like saying it, but my father is quite the doormat, and I don't have it from a stranger. Regardless of everything, I love him a lot. At home, a proper discussion was not possible. I was never right and just a dumb child. Even if I was right in hindsight, I was told that I had to explain it better. My mother would twist my words. To me, all of this was normal, which is probably even the worst part. Growing up like this, though, set the foundation for the future. I did not feel safe anywhere, not at home, where at the slightest mistake it felt as if I had to beg for forgiveness. Nothing was allowed to be wrong, and also not in my school life. I could not trust my mother, but at least I could confide in my father when things got really bad, or in my therapist. He did try to protect me from bullies who would follow me home. My self-worth and self-esteem were non-existent, and it was easy to pick on me. I did not fight back. That was never in my nature anyway. I had a small handful of, friends. They did not stand up for me when I was being bullied, though, but they were the closest thing I had to friends. In my early teens, I also was taken advantage of by the father of one of my best friends. Not wanting to lose my friend, though, I said nothing. It was my mentor at the secondary school who I confided in. He wanted to talk to me because my grades began to plummet and I excluded myself from people, which was not what I was usually doing. I begged my mentor not to tell my parents, but of course he did. I was not angry with him, nor did I lose my trust in him. I understood why he had to tell them. I was still sort of allowed to be friends with that man's daughter, but I was never allowed to set foot in his house again. At the end of my secondary education, I did report my best friend's father to the police. Nothing came of it, no proof, of course. But that did cost me the friendship. Eventually, though, that man had come to my school looking for me. He was in the hallway where classrooms were attached to. I was shocked and petrified, but managed to dash into a classroom. With the teacher's permission, me and one of my school friends were allowed to leave the school grounds so I could calm down. Nothing happened after this, though, at least not to my knowledge. As for at home, things were about to slightly change. My sister left home to live in the city of her school, where she learned to become a doctor. As for me, my mother started to look at me in a higher regard when it was set which education I was going to follow, which was laboratory school. It was not my first choice. I wanted to write, do art, but I was not permitted because I was only allowed to pick something I could make a living off. I was 16 at this point. molded into an obedient child who did not dare to defy her mother, asking permission for everything, keeping my head down and just quietly nod. Do everything she asked of me, knowing I'd be scolded if I would make a mistake. And yes, to me, all of this was normal. This was my childhood till age 16. Little did I know what would be coming for me next. I'd like to close off this video with the following. If you have any form of suicidal thoughts, please contact the right instances. If you are bullied or abused, I hope that there is someone whom you can trust and confide in. Know too that you are not a bother, no matter how many times it is being told. You have every right to exist and deserve love. If there are questions, you can ask them in the comments section, and I will do my best to answer them, either in the comment section or through a video, it depends. And last but not least, thank you for listening so far, and maybe see you next time.